Karen is upset because Lidl employees won't bake bread for her. The Lidl at the edge of town was a fluorescent-lit bunker, all concrete floors and flickering signs, the kind of place that felt like it was holding on by a thread at 9 p.m. It was July 15, 2025, and I was starving, hadn't eaten a proper bite all day, just a half-empty energy drink and a stale granola bar I found in my bag. My stomach was growling loud enough to wake the neighbors, so I dragged myself out of my flat, threw on a hoodie, and headed to the nearest Lidl for some bread and hummus. Simple plan: grab, pay, eat, crash. But this city had a way of turning simple plans into chaos, and tonight was no exception. The store was quiet when I walked in, the kind of late-night hush you get when most people are already home. Shelves were half-stocked, the produce section looked picked over, and the bakery was a ghost town. I wasn't surprised. Lidl's bakery stopped churning out fresh bread hours before closing, and at 9 p.m., you're lucky to find anything that isn't rock hard. I made a beeline for the leftovers bin, where they dump the day's unsold bread before it gets tossed at closing. Jackpot: a crusty sourdough loaf, still soft enough to eat, and a couple of rolls that looked like they'd survive a dunk in hummus. I grabbed them, snagged a tub of roasted red pepper hummus from the cooler, and a bottle of cheap iced tea for good measure, then headed to the checkout. That's when I saw her. She was standing at the counter, a woman in her mid-40s with a haircut so sharp it could cut glass, classic Karen style, blonde with streaks, angled like it was designed to intimidate. She wore a flowy blouse and too many bracelets, her voice carrying an Eastern or Southern European accent that marked her as a tourist, probably lost in this gritty part of town. She was arguing with two Lidl employees, a young guy with a buzz cut and a woman with a ponytail, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. I didn't catch the start of it, too focused on juggling my bread and hummus, but as I joined the line, well, more like stood there, since I was the only other customer, her voice hit me like a slap. "This is unacceptable," she was saying, her hands planted on the counter, leaning in like she owned the place. "You have no bread." "None. How can you call this a store?" The guy, whose name tag read Jakub, sighed, his shoulders slumping. "Ma'am, the bakery stops making bread at 5 p.m. It's 9 p.m. now. We have what's left in the bin over there." He pointed to the leftovers bin, which was empty now, thanks to me. The woman, Karen, because what else could she be, threw her hands up. "That's not good enough. I came here for bread, and you're telling me you can't make any? This is disrespectful. You don't respect your customers." I raised an eyebrow, clutching my loaf a little tighter. "Disrespect? Lady, it's a discount supermarket, not a five-star bakery." I glanced at the other employee, the woman, whose name tag said Elena. She was pinching the bridge of her nose, like she was trying to ward off a headache. "Ma'am," Elena said, her voice tight but polite, "we don't bake after 5 p.m. because the bread won't be fresh by tomorrow. It's store policy. We can offer you something else, maybe some packaged bread?" Karen laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Packaged bread? Do you think I'm some peasant? I want fresh bread, and I want it now." "You're just lazy, aren't you? Go back there and bake it." I stifled a snort, pretending to check my phone. My stomach growled again, loud enough that I was sure Jakub heard it. I just wanted to pay and get out, but Karen was holding up the show, and the line wasn't moving. With nothing else to do, I leaned against a display of canned beans and listened, half amused, half annoyed. This was peak Karen behavior, demanding the impossible, acting like the world revolved around her. I'd seen it before in this city, where tourists and locals alike could turn a simple trip to Lidl into a battlefield. But this one? She was a Class 10 Karen, as the internet would say, and she was just getting started. Jakub tried again, his accent thick but his patience thinner. "Ma'am, the ovens are off. It takes hours to bake bread, and we close in 1 hour. There's nothing we can do." "Nothing you can do?" Karen's voice hit a new pitch, loud enough to make a kid in the next aisle look up from his mom's cart. "This is your job. You're supposed to serve customers, not make excuses. I've been to Lidl's in other countries, and they never treat people like this." Elena's face hardened, but she kept her tone professional. "We're doing our best, ma'am. If you'd like, I can get the manager, then get him." Karen snapped. "Maybe he'll know how to run a store." I rolled my eyes, scrolling through X to distract myself, but my hunger was making me cranky, and Karen's voice was like nails on a chalkboard. I could see Jakub and Elena exchanging a look, the kind that said, "We're not paid enough for this." I felt for them. I'd worked retail in my early 20s, and I knew what it was like to deal with people who thought you were their personal servant. This city wasn't kind to service workers, too many entitled types, locals and tourists alike, who'd scream over a missing coupon or a sold-out item. But demanding fresh bread at 9 p.m.? That was a new level of delusional. The cashier, a third employee named Sam, had been scanning items for another customer who'd shown up behind me. He paused, clearly fed up with the noise, and walked over to join Jakub and Elena. I couldn't hear what they said, Karen's ranting drowned out most of it, but it was over fast. Sam said something sharp, his hands gesturing, and Karen's face went red. Jakub and Elena stepped away, disappearing toward the back, probably to hide in the break room or pretend to check stock. Karen grabbed her purse, muttered something I couldn't catch, and stormed out, her bracelets jangling like warning bells. The whole thing was over in maybe a minute, anticlimactic but satisfying, like watching a tantrum fizzle out. Sam came back to the register, shaking his head. Sorry about that, he said as he scanned my sourdough. Some people, yeah? No kidding, I said, managing a grin. You guys okay? She was wild. He shrugged, bagging my hummus. Happens too often. Thanks for waiting. No worries, I said. You're doing great. Don't let her get to you. He gave me a nod, the kind that said he appreciated it but was too tired to say more. I paid, grabbed my stuff, and headed out into the night. The city was alive with its usual chaos, cars honking, a drunk guy yelling at a streetlight, the faint thump of music from a nearby pub. I tore off a piece of the sourdough as I walked, the crust crunching under my teeth. It wasn't fresh-baked, but it was good enough, and paired with hummus, it'd keep me alive until morning. Back in my flat, I sprawled on my couch, the hummus tub open on the coffee table, my phone buzzing with notifications. I thought about Karen, her ridiculous demands, her complete disconnect from reality. Did she know how stupid she looked, yelling about bread at 9 p.m.? Did she care that Jakub, Elena, and Sam were just trying to get through their shift? Probably not. People like her never did. They saw workers as props, not humans with sore feet and bills to pay. I wondered if she'd go back to her hotel, or wherever she was staying, and complain to her friends about the disrespectful Lidl staff. I hoped she'd choke on her own entitlement, metaphorically speaking. I dipped a chunk of bread in the hummus, savoring the tangy bite, and opened X. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, itching to type up the whole story. Class 10 Karen at Lidl, I'd start, and I knew people would eat it up, everyone's got a Karen story, and this one was a doozy. But as I chewed, I thought about Jakub and Elena, about Sam stepping in to shut it down. They didn't need my post to know they'd handled it like pros. I'd been there, hungry and tired, but I'd seen them hold their ground. That was enough for tonight.